All right, so it looks like one of the members of the squad is being targeted by corporate Democrats. Political reports here. Scoop. PAC to spend $1 million to oust squad member Tlaib. So you can see Bakari Sellers here. He endorsed this PAC. Let me read you what it says here. A new PAC endorsed by Bakari Sellers says it's going to spend upward of $1 million to support one of the candidates trying to unseat progressive firebrand Rashida Tlaib. The stated mission of the group, Urban Empowerment Action PAC, is to back candidates who are dedicated to the educational empowerment and economic uplift of black communities, according to a release first shared with Politico's The Recast. The PAC adds that its support of Janice Winfrey, the Detroit city clerk, is meant to boost her campaign to restore infrastructure, improve educational opportunities in the district, and support the Biden-Harris agenda in D.C. What agenda? They're not doing anything. The group is made up of a coalition of black and Jewish business leaders. For her part, Tlaib has been unequivocal in her disdain for Israel and its treatment of Palestinians, and this week introduced a resolution in the House to recognize the Palestinian Nakba, a term describing the displacement of Palestinians ahead of the 1948 establishment of Israel. Tlaib, one of the most liberal and outspoken members of the House Democratic Caucus, has also been a persistent critic of President Joe Biden, delivering her own rebuttal to his State of the Union address in March. She was also a no vote on Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill that was signed into law at the end of last year. Now, what they don't tell you is what? The reason why she voted no is because she stuck true to the original deal that everybody was supposed to stick to. The deal was, we're only going to vote for the traditional infrastructure bill if the conservative Democrats vote for Build Back Better. Because Build Back Better had universal pre-K and elder care and lower prescription drug prices and Medicare expansion and extended child tax credit. It had all these wonderful provisions, and the left's negotiating tactic was, yes, we'll vote for your traditional infrastructure bill if and only if Sinema, Manchin, and the corporate Democrats in the House vote for Build Back Better, which is the real piece of legislation that's good, whereas the infrastructure one is not nearly enough, and a lot of it is corporate giveaways, etc. So Rashida Tlaib did the right thing, and then in the end, only 6 Democrats stuck true to their word. And a lot of them were squad members. And they were like, look, we're not going to vote for this because you guys are going back on your word. And it turns out they were right. Because Manchin said, just vote for the bill, and then eventually we'll fix Build Back Better, and I'll vote for it. And that didn't happen. So they were right, and they're using that against her in this article. The fact that she was right is being used against her. It's unbelievable. They do go on to explain it, thankfully. The two-term congresswoman said she voted against it because Democrats were reneging on a promise to pass the legislation alongside an expansive climate and social spending bill, commonly referred to as Build Back Better. By separating the two, she argued, progressives lost their leverage, and to date, Build Back Better remains stalled. So she was correct. Bakari Sellers, the television pundit who is a former South Carolina state representative, is fundraising for the PAC. He says he wants to see the size of the Congressional Black Caucus increase in the next Congress, and explains the PAC's endorsement of Winfrey this way. We are hoping that we can have a candidate that doesn't have varying distractions, he tells the recast. Winfrey is black, while Tlaib is Palestinian American. When asked to comment on UEA's endorsement, Denzel McCampbell, a spokesperson for Tlaib's re-election campaign, said the representative is battle-tested. He called on Winfrey to disavow the PAC spending. Outside Super PAC ads do not win elections, direct voter contact does. If our opponent truly does care about our democracy, I hope that she will immediately disavow and condemn this type of big money attack on our democracy that only seeks to mislead voters and distort reality, McCampbell said. The UEA's endorsement comes amid fears that Detroit, the nation's largest majority black city, may not have a single black representative in the next Congress with the retirement of Representative Brenda Lawrence. Let me explain something to you. That's not why they're doing what they're doing here. They are using identity politics to distract from their real agenda, which is to get a black lawmaker in there who will represent the corporations and the status quo, and more importantly, will not be pro-Palestinian human rights as aggressively as Rashida Tlaib is. That's what this is about, and it's the oldest trick in the book. Democrats know they're not going to win that debate on the merits. Corporate Democrats are not going to win that debate on the merits. The rah-rah Israel's always right argument. So instead, they're dodging. And the dodge is, no, the reason why we're backing this candidate is because this candidate's black and we want the black person to represent the majority black area. So if you're against this, hey, maybe you're questionable. Maybe you need to check your privilege. And maybe race is playing a role as to why you oppose this candidate. It's a dodge. It's the identity politics dodge. when the reality is they are targeting Rashida Tlaib because of her record on Israel and because she's a fierce advocate for Palestinian human rights, and many in the Democratic Party do not want that. And you have big money backers here who are pro-Israel, along with Bakari sellers, trying to unseat her. So, I mean, look, this is reason number 5,412 that the members of the squad need to wake the hell up. Because they've tried in a number of ways to play nice with the Democratic leadership. And this is what happens anyway. Regardless of how much you try to help other lefties or not, they're going to do this to you. So you should just go all in on doing the right thing, because then at least you'll be able to sleep at night. Like Nina Turner, for example, was abandoned by virtually everybody. At the like a day before the election, AOC was like, yeah, I endorse Nina Turner. Where was Rashida Tlaib? Where was Cori Bush? Where was the rest of them? My guess is they were threatened behind the scenes by leadership. Hey, if you support her, it's a wrap for you, and we're going to have everybody come out and endorse against you in the next race. So meanwhile, even though they played nice, even though they didn't endorse Nina Turner, what happened? Oh, it looks like they're still coming after you, Rashida Tlaib. It looks like it didn't matter what you said or what you did. They had a target on your back. Because they don't like anybody who deviates from the corporate Democratic line even 1%. And these people deviate more than 1%. So, this is the problem. There's a civil war in the Democratic Party. And one side is unified. And they are ready. And they acknowledge that we're in a civil war right now in the Democratic Party. And then the other side sticks their head in the sand and pretends there's not even a civil war. And tries to go along to get along. Well, guess which side is going to win that war? The one that's more organized and more fierce and more vicious and is willing to send the cavalry to back each other up. Whereas Nina got left high and dry. I want to say, what did you learn to these people? But that presupposes they'll ever be able to learn. I'm not so sure about that. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.